Hey everybody. So a lot of you reach out all the time and pretty much have said, I'm really interested in getting Croatian citizenship, but it is a massive headache and I really struggle. So what this video is about is kind of a rehashing of some of the workshops we did earlier in the year, which is basically to show you pretty much Croatian citizenship without the headache. So some of this will be similar to the workshop. A lot of it is cut down, obviously, because the workshop is where the real magic happens. Basically, what we're going to do today is sort of step through how to get your citizenship. We'll do it nice and quick and give you all the hacks and all the steps you need to go through, and hopefully give you guys some more clarity so this all becomes a lot easier for you. So without further ado, we'll get into it. So um, let's see if that works. No, of course, technical difficulties. Okay, so what you'll learn in this workshop is pretty much just a simplified version of the law and how to apply via descent. So this doesn't cover investment or naturalization or any of these things. It's purely a citizenship via descent presentation today. What are the paths to citizenship? Yes, more than one. Are you actually eligible, and how to find out, how to check? Obviously, in the live workshops, we do this with folks to get an idea, but that is pretty much, a lot of people are not sure if they're actually even eligible. So we try to demystify that a little bit. Finding any ancestors documents. Obviously, if your parents have citizenship or emigrated, this process is a lot easier than you trying to claim via a grandparent or great-grandparent. So we kind of explain what you need to do in those situations. Getting documents translated and certified, really important key step before you can lodge the application, and one where a lot of people are just confused and there's just a lot of difficulty around this. The application process, so what you need to do and do it step by step. How to follow up to make sure that you're staying on top of your application. We get a lot of inquiries to say, hey, I applied 3 years ago and I haven't heard anything. So stuff like that is pretty tough. And then getting help, what it takes to do it on your own versus, getting help from someone like us. So that's pretty much today's agenda. So the law is pretty much one rule, but there's many paths. So the 2020 amendment really is aimed at diaspora people and helping them, obtain citizenship. So there's no generational limit, so you can go back pretty far, but realistically going more than 3 generations or 4 generations is really difficult and very expensive, but we'll show you how nonetheless. There's no language requirement, so you don't need to know how to speak Croatian well or like at an A1 level or anything like that. And dual citizenship is allowed, so you can be a Croatian citizenship and a citizenship of another country, as long as that other country also allows dual citizenship. So there are a few who don't, and so that's always something to be aware of. But for all intents and purposes, I think most of the people watching this will live in a country that allows dual as of January 2026. So here's the most important date, right, for all citizenship applications, which is the process kind of diverts in 2 ways. So if your ancestor left before 1991 or your partner left before 1991, even though this is purely descent, this kind of is the biggest difference on how you'll apply and what different requirements are and other things that come into play. So I think if your ancestor left before 1991, jump up and down and cheer, because things will be slightly easier for you. And if they left after 1991, then things get a little bit more complicated. You might need to jump through a few extra hoops or provide some extra documentation around when they immigrated and what was the reason, where they immigrated to, etc. But I think most folks watching this video are going to see that before 1991 is pretty much the key date. So this is the part where we'll begin, and we'll start getting to all of the interesting gold and source around citizenship. So step 1. Okay, so Article 11 and Article 16 are the 2 main pathways. So Article 11 is descent, where someone left before 1991. There's no language test. You have to be a direct descendant. And typically this kind of takes probably 12 to 18 months by the time you start, and if you do everything timely and lodge your application, it'll probably realistically take you like a year and a half to get the letter to say, yep, you've been approved, and you'll be able to collect your documentation in a month's time or something like that. Article 16 is the ethnic Croat route. So I guess pretty much if your ancestor went to another Yugoslav republic, what this really is used a lot today is for Croats in Bosnia Herzegovina would usually fill this path. So even though they've lived in the area for hundreds of years, but we're ethnic Croats. This is pretty much what Article 16 is for. I think it's probably really important to mention as well is that ultimately the Croatian government is the ultimate arbitrator of who gets citizenship or not. So you don't need to provide sort of complex proof of, about your culture and everything. I guess if you definitely are an ethnic Croat, this won't be hard, I think I'll say, for a lot of people. But I think there's a lot of movements now, especially from other former Yugoslav republics that are a bit poorer, not in the EU, where a lot of people have tried to apply via this route through a parent or something, or something like that. And this is always, it's harder. It's not more guaranteed. Article 11 is pretty much is going to be happen for most people who've immigrated outside of the world. So I think if you're in the Article 16 bucket, we can sort of talk about that in the workshops, what you can do, what you can show. Article 11 is going to be easy. You just have to show descent, right? That's pretty easy. So without further ado, let's work out, are you eligible or not? So yeah, exactly. Likely you qualify under Article 11 if you have a parent, grandparent, or great-grandparent. They left before 1991. They went to some other country which was not a Yugoslav or former Yugoslav republic. And you've got an unbroken line of documentation. This is the most important part, right? You have to show a paper trail. We get lots of emails from people who don't have any paperwork, and therefore they can't progress with their application. So this makes it really tough for these guys, but I guess documentation is king, right? So, make sure you have all your documentation from your ancestors, or, you're willing to spend time, effort, money it takes to find this documentation. And we'll talk about later the type of records and stuff like that this entails. People have done it. We've told people get documents going back to their great-grandparents, church records and so on and so forth. So it is possible. It's just takes more time, takes more work. So easy. So typically what we kind of do is within the app, we ask a whole bunch of questions, which will tell you what you are eligible for. So not just descent, but other paths. But as I said today, this is really about descent, but it wouldn't be us, plugging our app first business without plugging the app first business. So shameless plug. If you log into Citizen HR and you go to the give me all the details step and you fill out all the questions, honestly, they're all multiple choice as well. So, pretty hard to get wild results. But if you fill out all those questions, it'll give you exact what you're eligible for, and then we can give you some more personalized guidance within the app. Awesome. Okay. So here is the hardest part, finding the documents, right? So you need to prove really much two things with your documents, which is your ancestor was born in Croatia. So birth certificates or church records, usually, if you're not sure, we pretty much have gone the church records route for a lot of people to find those. But then with those records, you can then sort of request stuff from your local registry if needed. And if they immigrated before 1991, always really, really important to see, any ship manifest, entry records, foreign census data, their passports and their details. And I guess the main thing is also making sure that their names are the same. A lot of people, especially, in the last 50 or 60 years, when documentation and records are probably not what they are now in 2026, have sort of, like either, they've sort of given their name a local spelling. So that might be, George for Jure, or, some other sort of Spanish variations, Juan for Ivan. So really, really, you're going to have to sort of show that on all their legal documents that their name is the same. And there's people we know as well with the same situation where they've had to actually change their name officially back to their legal birth name to sort of get around this as well. So this is really a key thing. And I think also, if there is some inconsistency, so a lot of people have the town wrong, you kind of want to go and request to get that fixed on your birth certificates and whatnot. So cool. Next steps is, where do your documents currently live and where to find them? So you've got your Croatian records, which is, Matični ured, so your registry or church archives. So I guess Croatia is really lucky in a sense, really long church parish histories with a lot of detailed documents. There's a lot of also church record books that get put out about families and things. So this is really great on the family history route as well, but also helping you now reclaim your birthright or your ancestry. Immigration proof, so you've got to show proof of, migration or naturalization records. So this is like things like citizenship certificates, old passports, etc. Ship manifests, some details. We'll talk about as well how this is useful as well later in this video on sort of your motivation letters and things. But really key. So all your old family documents, find them, look after them, lock them up somewhere safe in a box if you can. But typically, 100 plus years ago, things are hard to track. We can help source these for you. So we are about to release a service that does exactly that for people. So we've had a few dry runs of this, and so far it's worked quite well. Won't work in every case. There's a lot of people who we are just unable to find documentation. So whether it's documents that have been lost or not managed well, or so maybe some of their like I guess their oral family history is not 100% correct. That sort of makes all of this really hard. So here we go. That's sort of we don't want to give you too much hope that everything is there. There are cases where there's not, and it's really sad and heartbreaking for those folks, and even for us to go and say, yep, we'll go try find something, and to come up empty-handed. It's never fun. Okay. So this is really, really, I guess where the pedal hits or the rubber hits the road, we should say, for a lot of documents, which is apostilles. So these are astille stamps on your legal document. So this might be a US document, your Canadian, Australian documents, wherever you're from. Basically, pretty much you need to show that your documents that you are applying for citizenship. So your birth certificate, for example, does show that your mother or father, whichever parent you're applying for, it's got their details. This is an official document. It's been signed off, and they'll look pretty interesting. You'll get a big stamp and a ribbon on these documents. So you'll need to go and get a copy of each of your documents, so your birth certificates, your scanned copies of your passports, your driver's licenses, etc., and to get these sealed and translated later. Typically, can be a pretty painless process. I think in Australia it's pretty much same day, so you'll drop your documents off in the morning. Somebody will go through it. You'll pay to get them stamped and sealed, and you'll get those later that same day. Other places it can be up to 4 weeks. We also do this via mail, so if this is something you need help with, please give us a heads up. We'll see what we can do, but pretty much it's going to be $20 to $80 per document to get that stamp on there. And this is really important. A lot of these documents, when you apply for citizenship, they then go stay in the Croatian archives, right? The local the registry archives. A lot of people ends up somewhere in Zagreb, but make sure if you are ordering copies of your birth certificates, don't use your current birth certificate you have, order another one, get that stamp. So this is really where I guess a lot of the cost comes in for doing citizenship, which is just documentation, having those certified and legalized, which is what the apostilles are for, and translated as well. So that's really where the bulk of the cost is going to come through for most of you guys applying for citizenship by descent. So here we go. Next, we'll talk more about this later in the workshops and the videos too. There is a bit of an art to this, but for the most part, it's just have a valid document, get it stamped, get it certified, and then on to the next thing. So translating documents. So again, as I mentioned just there, you need to get your documents, either sworn translated if you're in, US or Canada, or NATTI certified, Australia, New Zealand, many other places. So these costs range, I guess, from $30 to $100 sort of dollars per page, and it usually takes between 48 hours and a week for a bunch of documents. Some of the document translation we run, we sort of have like a priority 24-hour sort of or 48-hour delivery of those. We've got like a huge network as well, so they sort of get all the nuances. They're all certified. So that's probably the quickest and fastest way to do any of this. We usually at the end of these provide a link if anyone wants to do this from us or any one of the other partners that we have on the platform, of which we have quite a few. The translation is, has been the big part of the whole process. So easy. That is nice and straightforward. So we'll skip to the next topic, which is, I guess, the 4 key steps of the process, the most important part. So what we'll kind of do is step through what is going to happen, what you need to do, where you need to go, and do all of that sort of stuff for the workshop. So typically we'll take a bit of a break or a pause here. A lot of this is just sort of is going through this. A lot of this we'll do in the app as well to sort of cut this down. So folks, if you don't like interacting with others, or as least a little as possible, app is a great way, but we'll show you how to do it both ways here, either by yourself or with the app. So on to the next one. Okay, so step 1 is to prepare your dossier. So this usually takes about 3 to 6 months, which is get all your documents, your birth certificates, your marriage certificates, any ancestor records, and for the ancestor records, it's great. You just need photocopies, so you don't need officials. So just make sure you just photocopy everything twice. Have 2 copies. It would be my advice. You need to get apostilles on all of your foreign documents. So these are documents that are not, related to Croatia or Yugoslavia back then, or Republic of Croatia within Yugoslavia. So these, this is all your documents basically, right? Where you'll need to get them officially certified for them to be recognized and to be applicable in the process. You need to get everything translated into Croatian as well. So what we typically kind of recommend is either to do the apostilles before everything, or to get the things translated and get those apostilled as well. Either one is fine, I think, but you'll need to have the translation. So it's up to you, whatever's easier. I'd say sometimes apostille is just easier if you have documents to just go and move on all of those, and translation then is super easy. But yeah, you also need you need to request a criminal background check. So typically what we've seen is state or federal police check. It doesn't really matter, I guess, and it also depends on all the countries, but I would just get a criminal background check done that is less than 6 months old. So you want to kind of do this before you're ready to lodge and go to the consulate for your first check-in, because then you can prove you haven't been committing any crimes, robbing any banks or anything like that. And these two last dot points, to do a motivational letter or a CV, kind of some people just decide to do a CV. What is their CV? Others do a motivational letter. I think the motivational letter is better, I guess, for one reason, which is it helps you get within your mind why you are, why you're seeking this, like what's it for. So some real tips for the motivational letter, and it has to be in Croatian as well. So you might need to get that translated. Here on the thing, we've got like a function within the app. So if you've got the pro version of the app, too fast. If you've got the pro version of the app, we'll go through it and take you, we can just paste your biography in there and we'll create a translated letter for you. We use an AI-powered translation engine, which is a specific AI translation tool where we run it through all the different models and put it all together at the end. So that's the cool part. We're obsessed with it because it's just made our life a lot easier. It also brings the cost of all this down, right? So having to pay a full translator for this, you can get the promo to the app, and it's like, it's something ridiculous, like it's $1 a month or something crazy. We're going to be upping that price as we add more features, but that's the best way to do it. The motivational letter should kind of have some information about your ancestors, your connection to Croatian culture. So a lot of people, for this is, hey, I used to go to Croatian team soccer games every weekend. I played for Croatian clubs. I went to Croatian churches. I did Croatian folkloric dancing, etc., etc. Like pretty much to show what your tie is, where your parents or grandparents, whoever it was, where they came from, your link to the culture, what spot they came from when they came. Why they came potentially, for a lot of people, I think economic reasons is probably one of the biggest drivers, right? So just include all of that stuff, where they came from, and sort of include why you want to do it. So I guess for a lot of people, it's going to be, hey, this is a part of my culture. I've always felt this way and I want to make it official, for a really simple one. Or it might be, hey, I just want to go and I want to move there and migrate as well. So I think there's going to be a sort of combo of those reasons, but that's the gist of it. Step 2 is to book an appointment and submit. So this is at the Croatian consulate near where you live. So if you go into the app, we've got a way which will show you what your closest consulate is, and then we link you in here to be able to book an appointment as well. So here's sort of what it looks like for Sydney folks. You'll apply at the consulate for the most part, and it's all online booking now, so you'll be able to book a spot and select exactly what you're looking for, citizenship, etc. They'll give you some details on what you need to do, which is sort of a rehashing of this entire workshop. A pro tip though, if you want to do it in Zagreb, it's usually a lot faster at the MUP. So guys, get ready, get all your stuff ready. But yeah, if you're planning like a long trip to Croatia, I would say go try Zagreb, try the MUP. That's a real quick way to do it. I think we'll look to start supporting a lot more people do that route, because it's just easier and faster in some ways. Other ways, but yeah, we realize not everyone can travel at the drop of a hat, and sometimes you may not necessarily be in that much of a rush, so you can just do it at home. And so far from what we've seen anyway, a lot of the ins and outs are a lot quicker than quoted sometimes. So yeah, so this is I guess the simplest step in the whole process, which is getting an appointment. Okay. Okay, step 3, processing. So this is where the bulk is. So pretty much the Ministry of the Interior reviews your application. You'll get a decision letter saying, hey, you have been granted citizenship or not. You can kind of check the status, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but there is no real fast track. Typically though, if your parents were, citizens at the time of your birth, you'll just get a recognition letter, which is, hey, you are recognized as a Croatian citizenship. So that will mean you may not necessarily have to go to the embassy, swear an oath or anything like that. It just recognize that, hey, yep, because your parents were there at birth, This also flows down to you, so that won't always be the case for everyone, but then you'll have to do the oath. When I did mine, I didn't have to do it. I wish I did, just for sentimental value would be nice. But anyway, good to know. So yeah, this is, I guess, the black hole part. So I guess don't freak out. You can chase up. We've got some services to help people do this as well. So there is a consulate reminder service within the app. That's been free for a long time. It's probably going to become one of the pro features now, only because it costs us a lot of money to send out these emails every day on your behalf to say, hey, by the way, this is when I applied. I haven't heard anything. Please help. Okay, step 4. So you've now been recognized. You've got the letter. So typically you'll have to come in, collect the letter, and then you'll be able to get your domovnica and you apply for your domovnica then, so your citizenship certificate. Take the oath, and then after that, you can also then apply for a passport or an ID card. Congratulations, you are now a citizen when you get to this step. I recommend that doing your domovnica straight away, and then while you're doing the domovnica, try booking also to do your passport and ID card, just to save yourself lots of running around, and you'll have all your documents go anyway. So this is, you made it. That's the final step. You're a citizen. You'll be able to get, the ID card, the passport, everything that you wanted. You'll be able to skip all those passport waiting lines when you get there, or you'll at least be able to decide based on the passport which is the faster one. I'm kidding. That's bad advice. You should always enter back in Croatia on the Croatian passport. But that is the final 4th step. I guess the real hard part is really step 1, which is getting all your documentations, tracking that family history, finding out if you're eligible, etc. But in this part, we're going to talk now about follow-ups. So stay on top of it, don't be too pushy. What we kind of recommend is after 6 months, ask for an update, 12 months, second update, 18 months, form a request to escalate. Be professional, brief, grateful, have a nice tone. It definitely always makes things, go a long way. Yep, as we mentioned, you can do this within the app as well. So you can go and pretty much just log the date you applied, and we'll send some fixed reminders based on you and that date and where you applied. So that is the main thing. Yeah, like everything, don't be too pushy, right? I think also if you're coming from Australia, the US, whether you're going to get your license renewed or doing any of these sort of life admin tasks, it's pretty structured, it's pretty straightforward, and pretty much if you just follow the rules, everything's good. With all of these diplomatic sort of processes, they are a little bit different, right? So I guess there's a person who's ultimately always making a decision, right? So you could, have everything right or things mostly right, but they might send you back or knock you back a few times. So I think just prepare for that, and I guess part of this is an unofficial. Do you actually want it? Are you actually dedicated to do it? Are you going to follow through? That is a stumbling point for a lot of people. So yeah, some of this might just be a test to make sure that, hey, you really want this and, you're really going for it. So, little stuff like that. It sounds a bit nuts to say that out loud, but that's really how it sort of operates. It's very different to, I guess, what most of the people are going to be useful in this workshop. Okay, start to finish. So 6 to 24 months, we usually say. 3 to 6 months is prep. 12 to 18 is processing. Realistically, this can be, $800 to $2,000. It'll probably be more expensive the further generations you go back, because it's collecting extra documentation on top of everything you need to do, etc. So yeah, as we said, translations and, document seals are kind of the biggest expense. So that's really the tough bit, the hard bit, but it's all worth it in the end. I think we'll all say once you get that passport, there's, domovnica, there's nothing like it, any sense of belonging you had, it's now official. It's a piece of paper. So that's always good to see. What we can kind of handle. So as I said before, we're now starting to do a lot more document sourcing, finding and retrieving church records and archive sort of stuff. We run a translation service as well to get NATI certified Croatian translators. We help with the CV and letter translation. So as you saw earlier, we do that kind of within the app, and we have some follow-ups. So I guess some of the key pain points in each steps of this process is sort of what we've evolved to kind of help with and to handle. So good news and bad news. So yeah, but all of this stuff, anyone who's highly motivated can do this by themselves, right? They don't need to hire a consultant. We recommend you do it. It's always kind of easier, but if you really want to do it, or you're short on cash for stuff like this, you can always do it yourself. Okay, so yeah, we always say check yourself first, and I guess encourage you to go to the app, do it in the app to tell you if you're eligible and what documents you are going to need. You'll get your personalized checklist, and verify eligibility. You might be eligible for more paths than descent. You might be via marriage and things like that, which sometimes can be a bit easier. And yeah, I guess kind of see if you qualify and understand the path, right? It's always good. I think there's the more you understand, the better things always are for you, I think, as a general rule of life. So that applies for this too. But yeah, if you're generally clear, you can sort of go through the app and figure out everything to do by yourself. If you need expert guidance, you're time poor, you don't want to deal with all the annoying bits, you can just get a partner and that's all. We'll come in and we can do some parts. But we've also got some amazing partners all around the world who do this day in, day out. They've been doing this for longer than some people have been alive. So yeah, make use of that institutional knowledge, right? I think that's the best way to do it. So yeah, I guess DIY, use Citizen HR plus some of your own research, lowest cost. You will spend a lot of time to do all of this, but I guess any mistakes you make are also you're gonna have to go return for other appointments to the consulate to finally finish everything. Usually when you do the application as well, they'll walk you through it at the consulate. So it happens. I remember your parents' dates of birth. If you're a bad son like me, you will forget their dates of birth and have to call them in the middle of the appointment to confirm what their date of birth is. That's kind of embarrassing, but anyway. And then we handle the hard parts as well. So if you need expert guidance, you need to find documents, you need help assembling your dossier, or you want to review what you've done, or have some peace of mind, that's what we're there for. So yep, nice and straightforward. Okay, so I guess for everyone doing the workshop, your next steps, I'll review this guide, which we'll send out shortly. As long with the guide, we'll send out some more detailed guidance, which is some links where to get your documents, where you need to book appointments for seals and things like that if you want to, or some details, what path you're going to apply via. And then if you need some help, we're happy to do more calls with all of you. So hop on, we're happy to check in with you. I think something a lot of people have asked for is, can we do some sort of consulting services where we walk through, confirm documents, check in regularly. So that might be something we look at launching later in the year, depending on how many people keep asking. I think our main goal is to do some workshops, see if this helps people. If not, we'll look at doing something that's more consulting, more one-on-one, more sort of accountability, tracking in, how you're doing, what's new, is everything okay? So yeah, here's your four next steps. So that's really the main thing. I guess the important thing is you've got this, right? So already being here today, you're already pretty motivated to do this. And I guess all of this stuff is nothing is about paperwork, right? You can get a piece of paper that says you're born here or you're a citizen of here. It doesn't really that's not the important part. It's really your sort of family story, doing this for yourself, doing this for your kids, and doing this to give yourself another option. I truly believe that, wealth is having multiple options, not just, money in the bank. So if you've got multiple options, multiple places you can go, multiple places you can work, that is your world is double the size of someone who only has one. So everything is much simpler for you. You've got the option there if you want to use it. If not, also great. It's there. It's not going anywhere. So that's the key message, which is you guys can do whatever you need to. And without further ado, we'll say thank you. This has been a really, really fast run through of the whole course and what we do in the workshops. So, thank you guys. Thanks for everything for joining this thing. I hope this gives you some more clarity. I'll put some links in the video description below so you can see what you need to do, where you need to go, where to find your stuff. But that's the main thing. Hoping that was really useful for you all, and it definitely gave you some more clarity. So guys on the call, we'll send out those member packs for the workshops and we'll send you some more details. But thank you very much, everyone, and I hope that was useful. As I said, we'll also send a link for you to book a call with us if you need to. So feel free. I'm happy to hang around and answer some more questions. And yeah, thank you. Good luck.